Okie dokie, I'm getting ready to crank this engine over, check for oil pressure and also check the compressions while I'm here, just so I got a baseline. So I took the smallest oil filter I've ever seen on a Rover V8 off. I'll put a Land Rover one back on. The oil pressure switch was not working. So basically when you connect up a live feed to that one and an earth to the engine block, complete the circuit, it doesn't register anything. So I'll put one in that does. I've cranked the engine over to top dead centre. We're on compression on cylinder number 1. I've not checked the position of the piston in the bore. I mean, I do that with a wooden dowel or a pencil or something, but we are at top dead centre on the crank pulley. Obviously, this is not a Land Rover setup here. This is an SD1 setup on the front end of this engine. But yes, we'll see. So next thing, really, I need to take the distributor out, and that's fairly straightforward. So you can sit up here and you can watch. Hello. Because there's bags of room on this thing. Just so you can stop clanking around. There we go. Right, let's come out of the way. We don't need the circuit at the moment. While this is all out, I might be inclined just to double check the distributor, make sure the distributor is a good one. There's actually a fair amount of room in here when the power steering pump's not there. When you've got the power steering pump in here, these things can be a bit of a nightmare to get to. There's that. There's the fork. Lift the distributor up. There we go. It's up. Okay, that's good. So it's got the standard. Oh, it's Vaseline. I wonder what that was then for a second. It looked like it was swarf or something. The distributor actually looks relatively new. It's easy enough to check though. Right, what I think I need next is my power drill, the corded power drill, and my little adapter for priming the oil. And of course an oil filter. So that's my tool, which has got a little slot on the end of it. You position that onto the end of the oil pump and rotate it with the drill. There's no point doing that though. It's fucking tight. Okay. I've got an oil filter here. Observe the differences. Okay. So I'll just pop some oil in this, and then I will screw this back on again, and we'll see if we can get the oil pressure light to go out. It gets set up and I'll come back to you. By priming or by winding the oil pump over, it should, in theory, prime itself, but strictly speaking, I want to get some oil in the filter to at least give it a fighting chance. Now, I don't know if the pump's not packed out with Vaseline yet or not. It's a brand new pump and the engine's been built. I would be inclined to think that it should be packed up with Vaseline. Because again, it just gives the pump a little bit more suction. Just helps it to draw the oil up from the sump. Let's get all this excess off here. That'll do nicely. Screw that on there. Decent oil filter, because there was nothing in the other oil filter. The other one was bone dry. It's been put on the engine, I guess, for transit. Oh, right, let's just wipe all the crap off the back of that. Bit of oil spilt. Get this oil pump pressure working, and I can then go over and just double check all of the cylinders compression ratio. I'm a bit worried about the compression ratio on this thing. It's labelled up as an 8.13 compression engine, and it's got composite gaskets on it. theory, if I connect up a circuit, so engine block to battery negative, I get the oil light on. See, that's all I do. The oil light is running between the sensor and the positive terminal on the battery. Right, it's going to drill. You can't really do this with the cordless drill. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't spin fast enough. I've only ever done this with a cordless drill. Just check we've actually got oil in the sump, because I haven't checked this. This dipstick is going to need to move. This dipstick is right in front of the intake for the carburetor. This fucking dipstick is not going to come out. Good lady fate farts in my face. Of course it's a fucking hex bolt. Why would it not be a hex bolt? Like I say, I'm not a big fan of hex fixings, but that's just because I'm a grumbly old fossil. I've got no idea if this will be metric or imperial. I'm going with that metric at the moment. We're down to 7/64ths, which is a cracking size, that's too small. To go to about 3 mil, which is exactly what it is. Let's take that off there. Like a fuffle. That can go there, that can go there. Now I'm going to get the fucking dipstick out. Yeah, but only with the outer sheath. Yeah, it's got oil in it. I suspect what's happened was this dipstick tube is bent. Oh! It's all I can do to get that to come out. Fuck's sake. Really? Yeah, not up at that type before. However, because it should have a line on it that goes down to, otherwise, I've got no idea. Well, I have got a line. I've got no idea how far the dipstick's going in. Right, with that the other way round now, I still can't. Oh, there goes the dipstick. Right, the dipstick's out. Fucking look at the shape of that. That's beautiful, that is. What fucking joy. And then what I'll do is I will remove this clip. If I can, because there's no way is it just going to come off, is there? Bastard. That'd be one of those things that I should have done while I had the dipstick tube 8. There we are, it's off now. Rotate it. There we go. Then pop the screw fixing back in again. And stand a fighting chance of the dipstick being out of the way of the air inlet for the carburetors. Not that I need that right now, but there's nothing like getting distracted, is there, Richard, on something that doesn't actually need doing right now. Hey. No. No, 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 no. Right. That can go back in there. Screwy McScrewface. Now all I did check when I went over to top dead centre was just double check that the distributor was pointing at number 1 spark plug position, which it was on the distributor, and that I was getting compression on number 1 cylinder, which I was. What I haven't done is fully check the alignment, etc, etc, etc. Right, that comes out now, look at that. I don't know why it's stuck in there. Yes, we've got loads of oil in there. Do not overfill, it says. Might even be overfilled. We never know. Might even be a running in oil in here actually, because it's not very thick. I'm not planning on starting it though. I just want to crank it over and get oil pressure. Straight the dipstick out. So tight. Yes, it's up quite high. It's about an inch above the high mark. But like I say, I'm not going to be starting it. Drill. Right, you can see. Great. So let's connect up the oil pressure line again, which is there, and drill. Going the right way. Oh, we've got oil pressure. Good oil pressure. It's not going to come back on again, is it? It's that good. Just don't know the end broken. Right, one thing I wouldn't mind checking is that we're getting oil up to the rocker shaft. Just mind the distributor out of the way. Sit over there. I don't know if I can see down here, or will I have to take the rocker cover off. Because of course oil flow is more important than oil pressure. Right, we're getting nothing there. Take the rocker cover off. Take the camera out of the way, really. I suppose I could do the other one, but you know, what's the fun in that? Yes, we are getting oil up here, so there is oil on the shafts. And again, if I crank over, you don't get a ton of it, but there's moisture up here. Just there's never very much on a rocker shaft. I'll check the other side while I'm here. Cork gaskets, never been used. Nice and clean inside. There you go. That can all go back. There we go. Pop in, back in. And I'll just have a quick look at the other side, just to be absolutely sure. I don't want to be causing any damage to this engine. But so far what I've found has been encouraging. So I'm going to be inclined to suggest that yes, the oil pump was packed out with Vaseline, and although it had a cheap nasty little oil filter on it, and that the oil pressure switch wasn't working, and it's got an SD1 timing cover on the front. Apart from all of that, all the Roman's ever done for us. There's a lot more oil on the right hand side of the engine than there is on the left hand side of the engine. It could be because it was poured in there, I don't know. I'm just going to double check again on the left hand side of the engine, but it's getting oil pressure. It's just whether the oil is flowing right up to where it needs to flow to for the circulation. I loosened the rocker pedestal bolts, cranked the engine quarter of a turn, and it really did squirt a shitload of oil up here. Now I'm worried because I think that the oil's not getting up to the camshaft. I know that the camshaft, it comes up the camshaft, runs down the inside of it, etc, etc, but it just seems to me that there wasn't anywhere near as much oil up here as there was on the other side. So this is how I normally check the compression. I'll crank the engine over so it's kind of halfway between the two. Put your thumb over plug hole. And as I come round towards the TDC marker on the crank pulley, I'm feeling nothing coming out of the plug hole. So that's clearly not a compression stroke. I'll go around again, and as I start to come up towards top dead centre, I'll get the socket on there properly. There we are. A bit blowing air past my finger. So now I know that's the compression stroke. I shall set this thing at top dead centre. I'll bung the distributor back in. Because I need the distributor in there in order to drive the oil pump when I'm doing this compression check. Right, that's that. Cup of tea now, I think. Bit of wire can come off there. I'll fix the light quicker. It takes a long time for it to go off again as well, which kind of worries me a little bit. I'll be honest. You can see how long it takes for the oil pressure to drop back down again. Which makes me think that perhaps the oil pressure is being bunged up somewhere. But right, let's go and get a cup of coffee and then we can do the compression check. Just checking this compression. I've done the odd bank, I'm just doing the even bank now. They're not very high, these compressions. Not very high at all. Just kind of what my worry was going to be. Oh, it's raining. I've seen rain for ages. Right, number 4. This white wire just goes to the ignition, the starter socket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that one says 135. Sorry, 2 more to go. Where's the white wire? There's the white wire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, fucking hell! I might have to do that one again. 10, 20, 125. Just double check it. It's plugged in. 125. 125 psi, folks. Compression. Looks pretty. Don't think this is going to fucking do anything at all, this engine. We've not even got down to the breathing yet. Right. Last one, this is number 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 135. Listen down. There's my figures. These are all in PSI. Okay, so cylinder 1, 130, 135, 130, 135, 140 on number 2, 135, 125, 135. Other concerns I've got are that the breather, these are EFI manifolds, are designed for an EFI setup. So basically you've got a whacking great big breather can on one of the inlets, and that then goes back into the plenum and allows the engine to breathe. So it stops the engine from blowing oil around all over the place. Obviously you haven't got EFI, you've got carburetors. These carburetors are Not sure if they're SD1 or whether they've what application they've come from, because there's no tags on them. However, the breather, I believe, should go one to each of the rockers, and there should be a breather that goes from the back of the engine into the airbox. So the two concerns I've got here, these rocker covers will not allow the engine to breathe properly using carburetors. It's going to make it run like a bag of shite. Secondly, the cone air filters that you've got here will not work if we don't, I don't believe they're going to work if we've got no breather at the back of the engine. Now, I've hunted around and about, and there is chunks of information, mainly on TVR internet websites, and there's a Caterham 7 product called a low cost, and they did a V8 conversion in that. And a lot of the folk on those websites just seem to be saying, oh, just let it breathe into the open air. Apart from oil fumes just flooding around and you're breathing them in all the time, it's not a great idea. I think really the way these carburetors are designed to work is you have a hose very near the throttle butterfly that sucks, using the inlet manifold vacuum, sucks all of the crappy air out of the rocker covers and straight back into the engine again. It's a bit like a primitive EGR. So it's exhaust gas recirculation, but what we're actually doing is we're using combustion gas and crankcase positive pressure gas going back into the carburetors and out the back. The other breather, which should be down here, so one I mentioned the other day to you, on the back of the engine, then goes into a pipe via a filter that goes into the bottom of the big can air filter, which normally sits across the back here. However, a lot of this installation seems to be Rover SD1. Very, very low compression for a Rover SD1, but Rover SD1 all the same. So I'm getting hold of an SD1 manual to find out how the breathers were set up for that. So this is the start of the bulkhead repairs on the Lincoln Green car. Inner wings, yeah, we'll talk about the inner wings in a second. So basically, pulled the inner wings off because I really wanted to see what the bulkhead was like. The brief from the customer is rust-free, which I'm happy with. Now, what we've basically got down here, so previous garage or someone has marked up the body with quite a lot of chalk and so forth. So these are the areas that I'm really going to concentrate on here. It looks like someone's welded another floor section in here up against that. It's all a bit shit, really. So I probably need to have a chat with the customer to find out, you know, how far he wants me to go with this. Is he happy with that? Because that's not far off rust free, but it's not beautiful, is it? Or do I look at replacing the footwell, because it's had a fairly recent bulkhead side panel fitted, but the footwell isn't. And on the other side, which I don't believe has been touched yet, we've got this nice big lump of very, very, very sharp steel, which I'm going to chop off in a second because I'm going to have an accident with that otherwise. So someone's kind of replaced a chunk of the side of the bulkhead, but then kind of chopped it off. So I don't know. Yes, it's butt welded up there. So that's the original top section. Then from there down, it's just been butt welded on. I've seen worse. A post looks to have been replaced, which is interesting because it looked like it was full of filler on the other side, but you can see it's been butt welded on up here. So the A pillar may well have been replaced. I don't know. Anyway, the footwell itself is in a similar state to the other side, where it's had patches over patches over patches over patches over patches over patches. And the body mount on this side doesn't look anywhere near as beefy as it should be. So it's all been chopped and chopped and chopped and chopped. So really it's a case of finding out how far the customer wants me to go with this bulkhead. Rust-free or tidy. Inner wings. Right, I hadn't really paid too much attention to these inner wings because I wasn't really concentrating on the body, but what someone's basically done here is they've chopped off the remains of an old inner wing which had the brake union fixing here, down here, Richard, and then pop rivets onto another pan. Fucking hell, really? But that said, the rest of these inner wings, they're all right. I've seen worse, I've seen better. Straighten them out a little bit. And similarly with the one on the other side, for some reason they've got whacking great big dents up here, I'm guessing because they don't come past the turret easily. So someone's smashed the crap out of them to get them past the turret, which seems an unusual thing to do, but never mind. This one, similar sort of state, bit of rust up here, that could be tidied up. They've been bolted up to the side of the bulkhead, and then the bolts have been done up really, really tight. There's a good reason why they put those little packing spaces in here, folks, and that's the main reason why, I'm guessing. So yeah, it's going to be a conversation with the customer to find out what he wants to do. Oh look, got a bit of fuel leaking out here. That's very old fuel. That actually doesn't smell like fuel. Stinks. Is it even diesel? Might be diesel. It's diesel. That's why it's, yeah, because the car had a diesel engine in it before the V8 went in. Right, okay. See if I can get the customer over this week. I'll have a look around on the inside of the bulkhead, see really what it is that I think I need to do with this. And then the other thing I was thinking, the reason why I was doing the bulkhead was because I said to the customer, there's no point in me putting all the brake lines on it when, you know, you can have all this extra work done on the car, which is why kind of I got myself involved with doing the bulkhead. And then the more I dig into it, we've got an Imperial brake servo and master. We've got the PDWA, Padua, down here on the inlet, in the inner manifold, inner wing. We've got metric calipers on all four corners, and we've got a pressure reduction job bit. So we're just using the front wing on the series here, and then it looks like, because I've been going through the parts manual here, well, that's the Imperial setup with the vertical holes on the servo, and that's the metric system with the horizontal holes. Now, I'm an a-suffix, and they ran this system up until a-suffix, it looks like. I need to go through my parts manual at home and just double check this, but it looks like it should have the PDWA down here, which just basically lights up the light on the dash should one of the circuits lose its pressure. And then it's got a pressure reduction valve on the heel board back here to reduce the pressure going to the back axle. Is the way I think this should be set up. Because the very first of the a-suffix cars, Salham V1AA and so forth, they had the pressure reduction valve here, and the warning activator was on the side of the master cylinder, the warning light activator. So it would seem daft to delete the warning light, so I'm not. I think it's long and short of that. However, I have got a problem with the warning light. My bench is tidy, folks, don't go on about it. I've got a problem with the warning activator because I gave it a damn good clean up and took the switch out, and of course there's brake fluid underneath it. So I don't bother rebuilding these things because you can still get them, I believe. I'll check the ball, I'll check the fixings, but I'm going to end up having to remake quite a lot of these brake lines because this kit that was provided with the car when it arrived here is totally metric, and I've got Imperial fixings on the master and I've got Imperial fixings on the PDWA at the moment, but the PDWA may get changed for a Defender item, which then ends up being metric. Are you with me? Make up your own brake lines, folks. Right, I'm going to go and cut that piece of metal off now because otherwise I'm going to cut myself on it. I don't know why it was there, but it's not factory, so it could just come off there and saves me skagging myself on it. Right. Forwards.